So the first hand, cutoff limped. I looked down at pocket nines on the bottom and raised to 140. The big blind and the cutoff both called, so the pot was 440. The flop came ace queen 3 with 2 diamonds. The big blind suddenly dunked 120, and the cutoff called in an instant. I had no idea what's going on. Though the bet size was very small, I decided to fold because these two seem like they both have really good hands. And in the past, whenever Easy on the big blind dunked, he always had an actual hand. So I folded. The pot was 680. The turn came the deuce of spade. Easy on the big blind checked, and Mr. Y on the cutoff bet 180. Another very small bet, and Easy on the big blind made the call. The pot was 1040. The river came the 3 of spades. Now Easy on the big blind decided to dunk once again. He dunked 240, very small. So at this point I thought he had a 3, because if he just had an ace, with the river pairing the 3 on the flop, he's most likely just going to chop with another ace. And Mr. Y in the cutoff called the 240 very quickly. So what did these two have? Easy flipped over Queen Jack offsuit. So he had just middle pair on the flop, and Mr. Y flipped over Ace 4 for top pair on the flop. So he took down the pot. Comments? Battle between two fish. Plain and simple. This next hand is between me and Mr. Y. So I opened kings and the cutoff to 160, and Mr. Y in the big blind made the call. Heads up to the flop, the pot was 340. The flop came Queen 5-3 with 2 clubs. Mr. Y decided to dunk 160. I've seen this a few times, but never once against me. So I think he either had a queen or was on a flush draw. Together we saw him raise enough flush draw a few episodes ago. I thought there's no need to raise just yet, because I think he would just keep firing, thinking that there's a good chance that this board misses me completely. So I made the call. The pot was 660. The turn came another 3, the 3 of hearts. And Mr. Y indeed continued betting. He bet 320. About half pot, I made the call. Now it's less likely he had pocket 3s, so I'm even less worried. The pot was 1,100. The river came the deuce of spades, so the flush draw had missed. Mr. Y fired one last bet. He decided to bet 1,200, a little more than the size of the pot. I beat all his queens and the middle pocket pairs, but because the bet size was quite large, I figured there's no point in raising, so I just made the call. Mr. Y decided to mug his hands, so I guess it was just a missed flush draw. And since he mugged, I didn't really have to show my hand, but I did it anyway, because it just felt good. On to the next hand. I looked down at Ace-Jack offsuit in middle position, and I opened to 140. The cutoff, the small blind, and the big blind all made the call. The pot was 600. The flop came lucky as Jack 8 for rainbow. The small blind checked, and Mr. Y in the big blind decided to dunk once again, 300. I have top pair top kicker, so I made the call. But now a lady in the cutoff decided to min raise to 600. The small blind folded. The dunker, Mr. Y in the big blind, called the 600, and so did I. At that time, I figured I might have run into a set from either Mr. Y or the lady in the cutoff. But that min raise into 2 players was just too weird, so we had to call. The pot was 2,400. The turn came the deuce of diamond. Mr. Y checked, and I checked as well. Now the lady in the cutoff bet 1,000. Mr. Y quickly folded, so I guess he just had 10-9 for a straight draw, or just wanted to dunk for fun with his trashy hands. I had never played with this lady before, and I had a good hand, so I'm not going anywhere just yet. I made the call. The pot was 4,400. The river was the 6 of hearts. Didn't really look like any draw got there. I checked, and the lady in the cutoff decided to bet just 460. almost 1/10 of the pot. I felt like she really wanted me to raise it up, but I was just happy to get to showdown with my top pair tuck kicker. I called the small bet, and she flipped over pocket aces. I really did not see that coming. She just called my 140 pre-flop while knowing people behind her might very likely just call. Dangerous move, I would say, and I guess I got lucky because I could have lost a lot more. Next hand. The middle position guy to my left opened to 160, the cutoff called, and Mr. White in the big blind raised it up to 480. Both the middle position and the cutoff make the call. So the pot was 1,460. The flop came 8-7-4 with 2 diamonds, and Mr. White moved all in very quickly with close to 3,000, twice the pot. Now since we've been watching Mr. White play for a while, let's stop and guess what he's holding. Number 1, Ace-7 suited. Number 2, Ace-8 suited. Number 3, pocket aces. Number 4, Ace-King offsuit. Let's move on and see what happened before we reveal the answer. The middle position folded, so did the cutoff. Mr. White took down the pot. The middle position guy later flipped over pocket jacks, so he folded an overpair to Mr. White's 2x pot all in. Mr. White said to him, jacks were good. Now I've seen Mr. White moved all in on this kind of board a few times, so I knew the correct answer was number 4, Ace-King offsuit. The dude's got balls. Shout out to my friends out there though. Next time in a situation like that, always make the call with your pocket pairs. Put the fish back where it belongs. Next hand. Under the gun opened to 120. The hijack player called, and the cutoff and the small blind called as well. Mr. White on the big blind decided to raise it up to 500. Quite a small raise, considering how many people have already called the 120. But this wasn't a guy who knows the math, so yeah. It looked like a big pair to me, and only the cutoff ended up calling. The pot was 1,360. The flop came King 10-9 with 2 clubs. Mr. White continued betting. He bet 500, a little more than 1/3 of the pot. The cutoff player made the call very quickly. The pot was 2,360. The turn came the 5 of clubs. Mr. White decided to bet 1,000, and the cutoff player, Easy, quickly min-raised to 2,000. We have seen Easy min-raising all day long, so we don't know what kind of hands he had just yet. And all of a sudden, Mr. White decided to move all in with this 2,140 behind. It wasn't much. Easy only needed to put in a little more than 1,000. Just when I thought it should be easy for him to make the call, Easy decided to fold. Mr. White flipped over pocket aces with the ace of clubs. So he not only had an overpair, he also had enough flush draw. Easy then said he had a king, which was top pair, and he folded because he thought Mr. White had already made this flush. Let me just say, I really like playing with these people. This is the last hand of the day, and let us try guessing once again what Mr. White had, based on how he played the hand. So Mr. White at under the gun, opened to 100, a very small raise. Under the gun +1 make the call, so did the cutoff and the button. The pot was 460, and the flop came Ace-10-5 rainbow. Mr. White at under the gun bet 100, a very small bet. +1 made the call, and the cutoff folded. Now Easy on the bottom raised it up to 300. Mr. White wasted no time and re-raised it to 900. Under the gun +1 folded, and Easy on the bottom called the 900. The pot was 2,360, and the turn came the 6 of clubs. Mr. White decided to go all in with his 3,300 behind. What he didn't notice was Easy on the bottom just had 1,300 behind, so pretty much a must call for him. And Easy indeed made the call, and he flipped over Ace-King offsuit. Now it's time to reveal what Mr. White had all along. He flipped over number 3, Ace-Queen offsuit. So he also had top pair and a good kicker. But pot control was not his thing. And Easy just flat called Mr. Y's 100 preflop and totally own him on an ace-high board. I wouldn't personally play like that, but nice play. Well, if you ask me what's wrong with the other three choices, the answer is plain and simple. All the other three would have won in this hand. So we have arrived at our 9th video. We're trying some new formats as well, like inviting y'all to guess the hands of the players and therefore participate. If you did not get a lot of the hands right, that's maybe because you're not a fish or you don't know how some fish would think. So keep watching these videos. Help us grow by liking our videos, leaving a message, subscribing to our channel, and sharing the videos with your friends. I will see you next time.